What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over my 4 favorite gaming franchises. Now, I've thought of this idea. I've always said the last video I want to make in my entire YouTube career, and I mean this, is going to be ranking maybe my top 100 games of all time. I want that to kind of be like the last thing I ever put out into the internet and then call it quits. But that doesn't stop me, I think, from talking about these games so often and these franchises so often. So look, this is probably going to give you a pretty good look at some of my top games of all time would be, but I want to focus on franchises. You're actually not going to see things like Life is Strange or even like Mass Effect or even God of War. They're not going to appear here. Now, there are some phenomenal games that mean the world to me in those and that I would put in my top like 100, but I wanted to go just, in terms of the overall franchise, what they meant to me at the time, what they mean to me now. Thought this would be a fun video for, July, little dead period, in gaming. So let's get into it. Now, these aren't ranked, although I would say number 1 would be quite clear, quite defined. There is also one that maybe got me started in gaming, so we'll talk about that one kind of specifically like that, but no real order except for maybe number 1. So let's just start with Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is one, I've talked about this franchise so much on the channel. I always have a blast. I always have a blast talking about this franchise and just how much I respect it. I mean, this is a game, I remember playing this game with my cousin. My cousin, 3 years older than me. He had these games. I personally was stuck on Kingdom Hearts 1 in Ariel with a Little Mermaid. I was stuck there, for the longest time. Took me freaking years to actually get through Kingdom Hearts 1. I played it very young. I want to say I played Kingdom Hearts 1 somewhere between the ages of 5 and 7. So it was just, I think that's too soon. I mean, Kingdom Hearts 1 is actually, a pretty difficult game, but I mean, I don't even know what that game did to me in the moment, but it's one that I've really embraced over time. You know what I mean? I think the rest of these I could probably say like what it did for me literally at that time. Kingdom Hearts, I just remember being so cool. Like Keyblade and this darkness and Sora and having Disney characters, like having Donald Duck. Donald is my favorite of like that, like Mickey, Goofy, Donald, that group. Donald's my favorite. So like having him be like a wizard, it was just so freaking cool. And I mean, I don't think you can actually like understand or embrace the story of Kingdom Hearts 1 as a 5-6-year-old, right? But Kingdom Hearts 2 is the game, and that's a story that I've told. It means so much to me. That's a really big part of it. So Kingdom Hearts 2 comes out when I was turning 10. Okay, it came out right before I turned 10. And so for my 10th birthday, we do the gifts, and my parents give me the stuff. And I remember, I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to say, oh, you didn't get me the one thing I wanted. But I wanted one thing that year, and it was Kingdom Hearts 2. Okay, and my mom, I wasn't like looking to her side. She pulled it out. That was the final gift, and I was the joy. It was probably my favorite birthday I've ever had in my entire life, to be quite honest with you. Just like kind of the perfect, like I wanted it. It was the only thing I wanted. I got these gifts and I appreciate it. I remember trying to be nice, like, oh, thanks for the gifts, and trying to like hide my sadness. And then my mom, it does like pulls the one more thing type card of like E3 and says, here you go, here's the final gift. And it was freaking Kingdom Hearts 2. The cover, the disc, and I just played the living heck out of that game. Now, Chain of Memories, I remember playing Chain of Memories and really not liking the card system, but throughout the years just being totally engrossed with that story, with the entire Sora's story and I guess the story of Kingdom Hearts just means so much. I think it's just a phenomenal franchise with such amazing characters, great like visual design, all of that jazz. It's one of my favorites. It's one that, and how I can tell is when a new game comes out, I just kind of give everything to it. What I mean? Drop everything. It's the most important thing in my life. It doesn't even matter. I mean, we've only really had main installments recently, but I mean, back in the day, 358 over 2 and Coded and Birth by Sleep, all of these games, it's always like a magical time. And I, kind of no pun intended, magical time when a Kingdom Hearts game comes out. I genuinely mean that. Okay, so number 3, I want to talk about Uncharted. Uncharted, I've told this story with Prototype. I get the PS3 in June of 2009, okay? Infamous and Prototype just had their famous duel, and Prototype to me ends up winning out at that time. So I get Prototype, and Prototype to me signified this is what games can kind of look like. I've told this story like my cousin, same cousin with Kingdom Hearts, by the way. He really has influenced a lot of gaming decisions. He showed me me a trailer of Prototype, and I said, oh my God, this is what like next gen, because I was so late. I was so late to next gen games at the time. This is what next gen could look like. So I would give Prototype that award for like, oh, this made Alex realize what games can look like. Uncharted to me is the whole package. You know, I get Uncharted 1 for Christmas that same year. So June of 09, I get the PS3, I get Resistance, I get MotorStorm, and I get Prototype. And I get Batman Arkham Asylum, which really took a big step as well. Those were my games in the first like 3-4 months. And I didn't do anything, didn't get any game until that Christmas. And then my parents exclusively for that Christmas, I just got PS3 games. So I get Uncharted 1 as one of them. And I was blown away. This is also one that really connects me and my closest and oldest friend that I've known since I was 3 years old, that we still talk and we still do stuff with. I wanted to get him into Uncharted. I said, come over, let's play these games together. I had played Uncharted 1 by myself, and I think maybe Uncharted 2 I played by myself as well, but I had him come over, and we played through Uncharted 1 together, we played through Uncharted 2 together, and then we played Uncharted 3 when it came out, Uncharted 4 when it came out. And I mean, these are just next to perfect games. You know what I mean? They are just, again, visually and like the set pieces. But this is where I guess compared to Prototype, it's like, all right, this is the full package. This is, not that Prototype's bad, because Prototype 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. But you have Nathan Drake, who's probably my favorite game character. So that definitely doesn't hurt, right? I just instantly think, oh, this guy is just the coolest guy ever. I've met Nolan North at conventions, I think 4 times. I've had him sign everything. I think he signed 3 of the 4 Uncharteds, and I think he signed The Last of Us, and I had Troy Baker sign The Last of Us. So I've tried to just get all these signatures across these games, but he's just so freaking cool. Nathan Drake is such a cool character. Elena, Sully is it's got such a great cast. It's got awesome stories, and then it's got the great gameplay and set pieces, and again, all simultaneously showing me this is what next gen could do to at the time 13-year-old that was living in the Stone Age, living in, oh my God, I didn't even know these things could be like this, and this is how they could be. And again, this is another one that, like, when Uncharted 4, when it was the trailer of him saying one more time to Sully, I almost cried. That's how much it got. Even thinking about it makes me emotional. Like, if we ever got an Uncharted 5, and whether Nate's in it or not, like, it would shock my world. And again, that would be a sign that, like, okay, it made an impact on me, right? Okay, final 2, we're going over Crash Bandicoot next. So this is the one that I've told the story here and there. This is the one that's got me into games. And it's something I can remember. Like, you don't really keep memories too great when you're super, super young. But I was a little bit older than that, so I do think I was able to process things. So Crash Bash, to my knowledge, is the first game I ever played in my life. Okay, I remember playing Twisted Metal Black. I remember playing a couple, which was way too young for that. My dad was very upset that a guy recommended that to us in a game store. That's a whole different story. But Crash Bash, I remember sitting on the floor. I did that a lot, really up until I was like 23, sitting on the floor. And I remember my dad comes home. Don't know if he was at work. Don't know where he was, just in general. And he had Crash Bash in his hand. I guess he was going to get Crash Bash. And I never, I don't even know how we had a PlayStation. I guess my dad had it because he played Max Payne and stuff. So Crash Bash, we put it in, and that's it. I remember him playing Max Payne. I remember him playing, I think it was Stuntman, was maybe a very early game, maybe like the very, very early 2000s. So I can remember those, and I played Max Payne eventually, but I didn't play them at the time. Crash Bash is the first one. And that game is just, I always think of it so highly, and I know I've been told over the years time and time again, Alex, Crash Bash isn't that good. I don't care what you say. Crash Bash is one of my favorite games ever, and I would put it in the top 100 right now simply out of nostalgia, even though it might not be. One day I'm going to play it again, though. So, Crash Bash, first game I ever played. I've told the story. There's home videos of me. My dad recorded me playing Crash Team Racing, and I looked at the camera, and I said, I'm really good at this game. And I was like 4 or 5 years old. So it's just a fun, I do remember playing Team Racing, but also a lot of the memories I have is me watching the home videos of me playing Team Racing, so maybe I'm getting confused, like which one I actually feel. I feel like I remember playing it, though, and I do feel like I remember being really good at the game, but that was my earliest. Here's the thing with Crash. It's my earliest childhood. It's literally what got me into gaming. Crash Bash, the trilogy, and then Crash Team Racing. Like, that's all I played for years. And I'm sure there was like a couple games inserted here and there, but Crash to me was my life and my gaming life. Let's say it like that, right? And also, I guess on top of that, they're also like phenomenal games. Maybe not Crash Bash, whatever, but I mean, like, come on, the original Crash games, so freaking good. And when they did the remaster, remake, whatever, like all I could think about, and even when I still play it, I almost see the old graphics in my head. Is anybody else like that, where like it's just so vivid and you probably spent too long playing the original games where that's all you can see? And it's like I still do that. Anytime I see the Insane trilogy, I mean, I love it. I mean, visually it's so good, and it's, I think, exactly what it needed to be. But like, it's a game that I could play the original of and watch those original graphics and not think anything less of it, right? Where it's like, oh, this is totally, this is it. This is the game. It didn't even need to be changed from this. It's perfect. It's literally exactly what it needed to be. So that's kind of my thoughts on those early ones. I mean, I played the Twin Sanities and kind of when they started getting a little wild as well. And, it didn't hold up. This is a tricky one, because I would say like Life is Strange 1 is probably a top 10 game maybe I've ever played, but the rest of them, like, they severely fell off, or at least, here and there. I don't want to get into a huge debate. Mass Effect, like Andromeda and 1 aren't as good to me as 2 and 3. This is where like Crash probably has actually had more bad games than good games, but I mean, it will just mean so much, right? Again, these are franchises that meant so much to me and that I love, so I'm going to give Crash a pass on that one. And then, of course, number 1, and this one I think deserves the leg up because these were just consistently, except for maybe the last one, Sly Cooper. Okay, Sly Cooper, I've told this story, like, to me, when I think about my life, I think about the graduation from Crash to Sly. And I don't mean that as like like growing up and aging out of Crash. I don't look at it like that. I just mean like my own childhood. And I played other ones. Like I played the Jak and Daxters. I played Ratchet and Clank. I played all these games. But I mean, and Spyro, okay? But like for me, it was all Crash and then it was all Sly, if that makes sense, right? And it was, again, I think I've said this before, I was around 10 years old, was such a pivotal Kingdom Hearts, and then I think it was either 9 or 10, Sly 2. I had rented Sly 2, and I didn't like Sly 2. And that's insane. I literally remember not liking Sly 2. And my grandparents, they're still alive, 89 years old, they're still kicking, and they got me Sly 2 for Christmas, that Christmas. And I remember telling my parents, like off to the side, I remember saying, this is the game I didn't like. I remember vividly, as if I'm still there, telling them, remember this game? This is the game we rented, and I didn't like this game. Like, what should I do? And they said, well, just give it another try. Go thank your grandparents, and then give it another try. I said, all right. And it became, my favorite game ever? Like, maybe top 5. Sly 2 and 3 are masterpieces, okay? Sly 1's really good, and Sly 4, I think we've talked about Sly 4. Like, Sly 4 is not amazing, but it holds a special place in my heart, always has, always will. Sly 2 and 3, though, are next to perfect games. They truly are. They were perfect back then, and I think they've actually aged more remarkably than I could ever imagine, okay? It's not necessarily a judge on if the game holds up still now, but the games are just so good, and I'll always remember that, for my grandparents, and just Sly 2 holds the record, I imagine, for the most replayed game I've ever done in my life. Now, I've played Rocket League for 500 hours. I played probably NHL 10 for 1,000 hours. I played Sims 2 for 1,000 plus hours. Like, I've definitely put more time in other games than Sly 2. No doubt about that. But Sly 2, I remember it like the back of my hand. I can go through every frame of that game and tell you that I've done it 15 times. It's engraved in me, every single frame from that game. And I don't think I can say that with anything else. Maybe mechanically of like Sims 2, I could probably do that with, or Zoo Tycoon and stuff, but I don't know, let's say a single player game, right? I played God of War 3, I think 6 or 7 times, and I feel like that's like the second or third most I've ever beaten a game. Sly 2 holds it, and Sly 3 is probably my second most. I mean, those two games, and this is like the fun thing, and this is kind of why I love talking about Sly so much. I'll see people talking about, hey, I've played Arkham City like 35 times, and I think in my head, how in God's name how can you play a game so often? Because I just don't do that. But it's not like I don't respect it. I do respect it. And that's the thing, because I can put myself back there and say, well, you know what? I played Sly over, and I think that's what happens when a game truly resonates with you, is it not? You can know everything about it. You can know every frame. You can know every mission, and you can say, hey, I still love it. I still can play through it, and it's still a perfect game. Like, it doesn't lose its luster. There are games like that. Arkham Asylum. I think single games, they're like that. I don't know if it's like the entire franchise. With Sly, arguably, it is Sly 2 and 3 is how I feel about it, but they're so high. They're so high. And by the way, I mentioned Arkham there. Arkham would definitely be high up there. If you're saying, Alex, what would be like honorable mentions? Life is Strange would get elevated simply because of one. Mass Effect would be a very close, like it maybe should have deserved to be in this list. God of War would be another one, and then I would say Arkham. Those are some of the ones that I'm thinking of. There's a lot. I mean, again, that's why I want to do like a top 100 list. These are just franchises. Again, some of these games, you're not going to see every Uncharted game in my top 100 videos 30 years from now in my final video, but we'll see. We'll see if I even make it to that point. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.